Naturally, the first thing he saw was the tall ragamuffin who had eased his way so close to the furnace that steam rose from his wet rags. The ironmaster did not follow the example of the blacksmiths, who had hardly deigned to look at the stranger. He walked close up to him, looked him over very carefully, then tore off his slouch hat to get a better view of his face. "But of course, it is you, Nils Olof," he said. How you do look. So now, while the thing was unfolding between the blacksmith and the stranger, they did not realize that the iron master, the owner of the Ramso iron mill, was there on his nightly round for an inspection. So unlike the master smith, who just he don't even care to look have a proper glance of the stranger before allowing him to stay the night, the owner, he actually looked very carefully at the scene. In fact, he came very close to the person, he came very close to him to have a proper look. And he then, took off his hat and he just had a proper look at his face. And then he's saying that, "Oh, it's you, Nils Olof. How do you look? How do you look right now?" So let's see. The man with the rat traps had never before seen the iron master at Ramso and did not even know what his name was. But it occurred to him that if the fine gentleman thought he was an old acquaintance, he might perhaps throw him a couple of kronor. Therefore, he did not want to undeceive him all at once. So now what happened, that the owner of the iron mill, when he took off the hat of the rat trap maker, he just called out his name as Nils Olof, and he's just questioning that, "How do you look?" So at that moment, this stranger, the person who is making that rat trap, realized that probably he just looked at the owner and he said that he does not know who that person is. He does not even know his name, and he thinks that he does not know the name. He's never met this person before, and now he's thinking that, okay, probably the owner is misunderstanding the rat trapper to be someone else, and that very thought he realized that he should just go on with the act, because if the owner thinks that he is an acquaintance, means someone he knows, then probably it is going to be a profitable situation for the rat trapper, as he might get some kronor, as he might get some money. So yes, God knows things have gone downhill with me, he said. So he just played on, he just started acting, and he said that, "Yes, I know that why I'm looking like this. Things have not been good. Things have gone downhill," means they have gone from bad to worse. So from bad to worse. "You should not have resigned from the regiment," said the iron master. So now the iron master is also continuing, and he's saying that you should not have resigned, you should not have given up the position from the regiment. And regiment is the part of the army or military. So probably the iron master, the owner, is probably misunderstanding this stranger to be someone else who was a part of the regiment. "That was the mistake. If only I had still been in the service at the time, it never would have happened. Well, now of course you will come home with me." So now he's also saying that, yes, of course, you shouldn't have resigned from that place. If you would have continued, then this situation would not have come. You would have been in a better place. But don't worry, now you come home with me. To go along up to a manor house and be received by the owner like an old regimental comrade, that, however, did not please the tramp. "No, I couldn't think of it," he said, looking quite alarmed. So when the owner, invited him that, "Okay, you should now come to my house," so this thought did not really attracted him, pleased the tramp, means the stranger. He in fact was very alarmed. He in fact became very fearful. Why? Because he did not want to go to the manor house, that is to the big house. He did not want to go there as his old friend who was a part of the army or the military, and he did not really wanted to go to his place. This particular idea probably did not felt good to him. He thought of the 30 kroner. To go up to the manor house would be like throwing himself voluntarily into the lion's den. He only wanted a chance to sleep here in the forge and then sneak away as inconspicuously as possible. So now he thought that, talking to him was fine, but now he does not really want to go to someone else's house, who is obviously a rich man, an influential man, who knows people from the army background. And he's thinking that, he's just stolen 30 kroner today, and what if he goes to someone else's house? It would be like he's voluntarily going into the lion's den. He would be caught. Therefore, he just thought that he shouldn't be going there, and in fact, he was even here in the forge, in the furnace, just to spend the night, just to sleep properly, just to get shelter. And he had already planned that how in the morning he would just escape without getting caught. He would just escape. The Iron Master assumed that he felt embarrassed because of his miserable clothing. So when the stranger said that no, he does not really want to go to his house, the Iron Master, that is the owner of the Ramso iron mill, thought that probably he is denying because he is embarrassed the way he looks now. Of his physical appearance, he is embarrassed. So what does he say more? Please don't think that I have such a fine home that you cannot show yourself there. He said, Elizabeth is dead, as you may already have heard. My boys are abroad, and there is no one at home except my oldest daughter and myself. We were just saying that it was too bad we didn't have any company for Christmas. Now come along with me and help us make the Christmas food disappear a little faster. So what is he saying? So the Iron Master, obviously he thought that this is a known person to him. Yes, he's probably one of his old friends. So he's just asking him that, okay, please come to my home. But here the stranger know that, he is misunderstanding him to be someone else, and he does not really want to go to his house. He thought that probably that is going to be a more alarming situation. He might get caught. So he just said that no, he does not want to go to his house. But the Iron Master, the owner, he misunderstood this and thought that probably he's denying because he's embarrassed of how he's looking. He's embarrassed of his physical appearance, and he does not want to go to anyone else's house in this way, like this. So the Iron Master says that, it's okay. My house is not that grand, is not that fine, not that pretty or sophisticated that you can't go like this. And moreover, he said that, you must have heard that my wife, Elizabeth, is no longer alive, that she's dead. My boys are not staying with me, they are abroad. So only in that house, I am staying with my eldest daughter. And then he also continues saying that, even today we were talking, that is the Iron Master and his daughter were talking that tomorrow is Christmas and they are not having any guest. So therefore now he's insisting the the stranger that, you should now come home. I'm not listening to anything. You should just come home for Christmas and help us make the food disappear a little faster. That is, let's party, let's enjoy the meal, let's have fun and be together for Christmas. But the stranger said no, and again no, and the Iron Master saw that he must give in. It looks as though Captain Von Stale preferred to stay with you tonight, stern Storm, he said to the master blacksmith, and turned on his heel. So now when the stranger repeatedly said no, that no, he does not want to accompany him to his house, he does not want to spend the Christmas Eve with them. So that's when the owner, the Iron Master, realized that okay, he must give in, he should stop insisting him now. And in fact, he just turned towards the blacksmith who was working in the furnace, and he just told him that probably, this guest, this captain, he wants to stay with you, he wants to spend the time with you today instead of coming with me to my home. But he laughed to himself as he went away, and the blacksmith, who knew him, understood very well that he had not said his last word. It was not more than half an hour before they heard the sound of carriage wheels outside the forge, and a new guest came in. But this time it was not the ironmaster. So now the person, he just went away, and they all settled down. The blacksmith was doing his work, and the stranger was just resting there. But they soon heard a sound, they soon heard a noise of a carriage that's just stopped outside the furnace. And now they had a new guest, and this new guest was not the ironmaster but his daughter. He had sent his daughter, apparently hoping that she would have better powers of persuasion than he himself. So the ironmaster went home. He probably spoke about this to his daughter, and now instead of coming, he had sent his daughter to actually persuade, means to actually convince the stranger to come home for Christmas. So pursue means to convince the person to come home for Christmas Eve. She entered, followed by a valet, carrying on his arm a big fur coat. She was not at all pretty, but seemed modest and quite shy. In the forge, everything was just as it had been earlier in the evening. The master blacksmith and his apprentice still sat on their bench, and iron and charcoal still glowed at the furnace. The stranger had stretched himself out on the floor and lay with a piece of pig iron under his head and his hat pulled down over his eyes. So as soon as the young girl caught sight of him, she went up and lifted his hat. The man was evidently used to sleeping with one eye open. So he jumped up abruptly and seemed to be quite frightened. So what happened? This time the iron master, that is the owner of the iron mill, had sent his daughter to convince the stranger to come home for Christmas. And when the young girl, that is his daughter, came inside, so she, how is she described? So it's described that she just came inside, and there was a valet, that is there was a person who was walking next to her carrying her fur coat, and said that this young girl, this young lady was not at all pretty, but she seemed quite shy and modest, means generous. She seemed quite generous and quite shy. And then it's being described that the moment she entered the forge, the furnace, the things were same. The blacksmith and his apprentice, that is the learner, that is his helper, was sitting together on the bench, and they were still working with the pig irons. He kept moving it in the furnace. So they were still working, like they were working when the iron master came and when the stranger came in. But this time the stranger had taken one of the pig iron and he had kept it under his head, and he had just lied down stretching, and the hat that he was wearing, he just kept it on his face. So the moment the lady came inside, she just looked everywhere, and she just saw that okay, that is the stranger who's lying there. So she just went up to him, took off the hat off his face, and that actually alarmed the stranger. He actually got a little frightened and fearful that suddenly, who came and just took off the hat off his face. "My name is Edla William Manson," said the young girl. "My father came home and said that you wanted to sleep here in the forge tonight, and then I asked permission to come and bring you home to us. I am so sorry, Captain, that you are having such a hard time." So now the moment, she takes the hat off his face, and this poor guy, the stranger, he actually jumped out of in fear. So she just introduced himself that, "See, my name is Edla William Manson, and I am the daughter of the owner of this place. And he just came here, he tried to convince you to come to our house, but probably you denied, and you want to spend the night here." And she just continues that, "Okay, I know that you are having a hard time, you're having a difficult time, Captain, but I am here to take you home." So she looked at him compassionately, that is with love and affection, she looked at him with her heavy eyes, and then she noticed that the man was afraid. So she looked at him with love and affection. While she was talking to him, she just looked at him with affection, with love and affection. And that's probably when she realized, when she actually noticed the man, that he was fearful. Yes, he was afraid. Either he has stolen something or else he has escaped from jail, she thought, and added quickly, "You may be sure, Captain, that you will be allowed to leave us just as freely as you came. Only please stay with us over Christmas Eve." So, looking at his appearance, looking at how afraid and fearful he was at the thought of coming to the house, so the daughter probably, thought in her mind, or probably realized that this man has probably, either he had stolen something or he has escaped the prison. He probably have ran out of the prison or the jail. And maybe this is the thought which is stopping him, is making him afraid to come to someone else's house. But then she quickly says that, "Captain, you don't worry. Just like you came here, please come over to our place for Christmas, and just as freely as you came here, we are going to allow you to leave as freely as you came." She said this in such a friendly manner that the Rattrap peddler must have felt confidence in her. "It would never have occurred to me that you would bother with me yourself, miss," he said. "I will come at once." So probably with that love, affection, with that way in which the daughter said that, you would be allowed to leave as freely as you came. So probably that kind of gave confidence to the Rattrap. He kind of became happy, he became confident that yes, he should go. And then he at once says that, "Okay, I will come with you." He accepted the fur coat which the valet handed him with a deep bow, threw it over his rags, and followed the young lady out to the carriage without granting the astonished blacksmith so much as a glance. So now, when he agreed, he took her fur coat and followed her out of the forge to the carriage. And he just did not give a look. A glance means he did not even spare a look to the blacksmith, who was completely astonished. That is, they were completely surprised and shocked. But while he was riding up to the manor house, he had evil forebodings. "Why the devil did I take that fellow's money?" he thought. "Now I'm sitting in the trap and will never get out of it." The next day was Christmas Eve, and when the ironmaster came into the dining room for breakfast, he probably thought with satisfaction of his old regimental comrade whom he had run across so unexpectedly. So now when the Rattrap, he was sitting in the carriage and he was going to the manor's house, he just thought of the world being a rat trap, and he thought that why did I even steal the money? Because I stole the money, I had to travel through the woods, I got stuck there, I had to go to the forge where I met the owner, now her daughter, and eventually I am now going along with her to her house. So he was just thinking that how he has trapped himself just by stealing the money. But later that day he reached his house, and next day was the Christmas Eve. It was the Christmas day. So in the morning, what happened? The iron master, he came all ready for breakfast, and while he came out, he was just thinking that how suddenly and unexpectedly he has met his old regimental comrade. That is, an old friend from the military he suddenly met in a very unexpected way. The next day was Christmas Eve, and when the iron master came in the dining room for breakfast, he probably thought with satisfaction of his old regimental comrade whom he had run across so unexpectedly. So this is repeated that how, he was just thinking that how unexpectedly he met a friend of his from the army. First of all, we must see to it that he gets a little flesh on his bones, he said to his daughter, who was busy at the table. And then we must see that he gets something else to do than to run around the country selling rat traps. So while he came for the breakfast on the day of Christmas, so he was thinking that how he had met his old friend from the military. So he just speaks to his daughter that we need to do certain things for him. That first thing is get him something to eat so that he looks a little better. He does not look that poor and impoverished or that hungry man. He should get a little flesh on his bones. That is, he should get a proper diet, he should get a proper food. And then later, we must also get some kind of work for him to do. He shouldn't be selling the rat traps around the country. So it is queer that things have gone downhill with him as badly as that, said the daughter. Last night I did not think there was anything about him to show that he had once been an educated man. So now, the daughter is replying and she's saying that, it's very strange. Queer means strange. That it's actually very strange that things have gone so bad for him. It's actually becoming worst for him to be living like this. In fact, she even tells him that, last night, whatever I've interacted with him, it does not even seem as if he's an educated man. So you must have patience, my little girl, said the father. As soon as he gets clean and dressed up, you will see something different. Last night, he was naturally embarrassed. The tramp manners will fall away from him with the tramp clothes. So now the father, when the daughter says that, I know that things have gone downhill and things are very horrible for him right now, but even still, even in spite of all that, I feel that whatever interaction I had with him yesterday, it does not even seem as if he's an educated man. So to this, her father replies that, you need to have a little patience, my child, and he's had a horrible life, he's going through such a difficult time. So let him just clean himself, let him just wash himself, let him just change into some clean clothes, and with those clean clothes, with those clean look, you would also see the clean manners, the educated things coming out, and that tramp manners, that trampness that you're talking about will shed away, will go away. Just as he said this, the door opened and the stranger entered. Yes, now he was truly clean and well dressed. The valet had bathed him, cut his hair and shaved him. Moreover, he was dressed in a good-looking suit of clothes which belonged to the ironmaster. He wore a white shirt and a starched collar and whole shoes. So the moment the father spoke to the daughter that, you should wait, let him get clean, let him wear nice clothes, and then you will see a different side to him. That's exactly when, the door opened and the stranger came in. And, he was all very clean. His hair was properly cut and trimmed, his beard was trimmed, he had washed, he had bathed properly, and he was wearing the nice, cleaned clothes of the ironmaster, and he was wearing proper shoes. But although his guest was now so well groomed, the ironmaster did not seem pleased. He looked at him with puckered brow, and it was easy to understand that when he had seen the strange fellow in the uncertain reflection from the furnace, he might have made a mistake. But that was now. When he stood there in broad daylight, it was impossible to mistake him for an old acquaintance. So what happened? Now that he was all groomed, that properly dressed, he was properly dressed, clean and everything. So now, when he came outside in that look, the ironmaster just looked at him strangely. And now he thought that probably yesterday, in that night when the light was not proper and he was, all that in a mess, so probably he had misunderstood this stranger for one of his old friends from the regiment. But now the ironmaster was thinking that now with this clean look in the broad daylight, he cannot mistake him for someone that was his friend before. What does this mean? He thundered. The stranger made no attempt to dissimulate. He saw at once that the splendor had come to an end. So now, when the ironmaster realized that he was not his friend, he is not someone who's known to him, that's exactly when he thundered. He became angry and he literally kind of shouted that, what does that mean? So he's basically questioning the stranger here, that probably seeking an answer that why, you must have understood that I'm mistaking you for someone. So why did you put up that act? So now he's probably questioning him. But this stranger, he did not make any attempt to speak anything or to run away or something. And he just accepted that all his splendor, all this beautiful and larger life had actually come to an end. "It is not my fault, sir," he said. "I never pretended to be anything but a poor trader, and I pleaded and begged to be allowed to stay in the forge. But no harm has been done. At worst, I can put on my rags again and go away." "Well," said the iron master, hesitating a little, "it was not quite honest either. You must admit that, and I should not be surprised if the sheriff would like to have something to say in the matter." The tramp took a step forward and struck the table with his fist. So now what happened? Now the stranger is actually answering, and he's saying that yes, it is not my fault that you mistook me or misunderstood me for someone else. I constantly begged to you last night that I do not want to come to your home. I am only there at the forge, that is at the furnace, just to sleep, just to have a shelter. And I never portrayed that yes, I am your friend. But it was you who insisted that yes, I am your friend and I should be here for Christmas. In fact, I was there at the forge, I was wearing those rags, and I am a poor trader. So if you want, I'll just again wear my old rags and I would just go away. So with this honesty, with this confidence, when the answer came, the justification came from the stranger, that's when the iron master also hesitated a little, and he said that that's okay, but then you should also admit that, you were not honest also. You did not even speak the truth at that time. You may not have said anything else, but you have actually told me the truth. And then he says that fine, the iron master says that fine, now let me, looking at you, remembering how you looked yesterday, I should call the sheriff, that is I should call the police, and maybe they should have a look at you and probably they might say something about you. But the moment the iron master spoke like this, he talked that okay, he should be calling the police to have a look at him. That's exactly when the stranger became a little angry. He came a step forward and with his fist he actually banged the table. "Now I'm going to tell you, Mr. Iron Master, how things are," he said. "This whole world is nothing but a big rat trap. All the good things that are offered to you are nothing but cheese rinds and bits of pork set out to drag a poor fellow into trouble. And if the sheriff comes now and locks me up for this, then you, Mr. Iron Master, must remember that a day may come when you yourself want to get a big piece of pork, and then you will get caught in the trap." So now the tramp, that is the stranger, now he came forward, he banged the fist on the table, and he's saying that now I'm going to tell you everything honestly. And he's saying that yes, I am a poor man, but this whole world is a trap where everyone is getting trapped for something or the other. And he's saying that if you call the police and they lock me up in the jail, then this is you who's putting me in the jail. I did not come here. You trapped me into this. And then he says that, if I am in the jail, remember one thing, that one day would come where even you would also want something big for yourself, probably a big piece of pork. And then, you would also get trapped into it and you would also never be able to come out of this trap. The iron master began to laugh. "That was not so badly said, my good fellow. Perhaps we should let the sheriff alone on Christmas Eve. But now get out of here as fast as you can." So now the iron master laughed at this idea of the world being a rat trap and how, one gets caught into it. So he just said that, okay, your explanation seems to be good and all, but he's laughing. And he said that, okay, let's just not call the sheriff on the Christmas Eve, but you should leave my house at once. But just as the man was opening the door, the daughter said, "I think he ought to stay with us today. I don't want him to go." And with that, she went and closed the door. "What in the world are you doing?" said the father. So the moment he opened the door, the iron master opened the door for the stranger and asked him to move out of his sight. That's exactly when his daughter came and shut the door. And she told her father that, this stranger, even though he's not your friend or he's not the captain and he's someone we don't know, but this stranger must be with us on the Christmas Eve. And looking at that, the father became really angry and he just questioned her, what in the world are you doing? Why are you doing this? The daughter stood there quite embarrassed and hardly knew what to answer. That morning she had felt so happy when she thought how home-like and Christmassy she was going to make things for the poor hungry wretch. She could not get away from the idea all at once, and that was why she had interceded for the vagabond. So now what happened, when the father questioned her that why are you doing this, why in the world are you doing this? So this poor girl, his daughter, she was embarrassed. She did not really have an answer for that. But this is for the first time, in the since Christmas morning, that she was thinking that yes, this is a poor man, a hungry man, and she thought that she is going to make this Christmas Eve special for him, feed him good food, make him feel homely, make him feel good. And by thinking all that, planning all that, she felt getting all that Christmas vibes. And this is why she did not want at the last moment that her plan should go down the drain. And she actually wanted to entertain this guy, entertain this stranger, feed him the food. And that's why she actually came in and stopped his father from asking the stranger to get out. I am thinking of this stranger here, said the young girl. He walks and walks the whole year long, and there is probably not a single place in the whole country where he is welcome and can feel at home. Wherever he turns, he is chased away. Always he is afraid of being arrested and cross-examined. I should like to have him enjoy a day of peace with us here, just one in the whole year. The iron master mumbled something in his beard. He could not bring himself to oppose her. So now the daughter also agrees that yes, he is a stranger, he is not the captain, but still she feels that he is a poor man. He's just walking everywhere. He's a wanderer. He's homeless. He's no one. And whenever he's walking the whole year, moving from one place to another, interacting and meeting people, but then no one is treating him well. No one is welcoming him. And this is why she feels that today, on one special occasion of Christmas, let's just let him allow the peace of life. Let him have one single day of peace where he could enjoy, not being afraid that yes, he would be caught, he would be cross-examined by the police. So hearing her explanation, the iron master, he mumbled something, he spoke something very lightly, but he did not really oppose her. That is, he did not really disagree to what his daughter was saying. It was all a mistake, of course. She continued, but anyway, I don't think we ought to chase away a human being whom we have asked to come here and to whom we have promised Christmas cheer. You do preach worse than a parson, said the iron master. I only hope you won't have to regret this. So here what's happening? The daughter is trying to convince the iron master, that is his father, and she's saying that, even though he is a stranger and we don't know him, we have misunderstood him for a captain, still, we were the one who called him over to our place. We were the one who, gave him the hope and the promise that yes, we are going to be together celebrating Christmas. Therefore, we shouldn't, actually chase him away. That is, ask him to leave at this moment. And then what does the father reply to this? He says, you do preach worse than a parson. Parson is the clergyman, the priest of the church. And he's saying that, whatever you teach is worse than how the priest teaches in the church. And then he later says that I hope that whatever you're doing, whatever you're saying, you're not going to regret it anytime soon. The young girl took the stranger by the hand and led him up to the table. Now sit down and eat, she said, for she could see that her father had given in. The man with the Rattrap said not a word. He only sat down and helped himself to the food. Time after time, he looked at the young girl who had interceded for him. Why had she done it? What could the crazy idea be? So here what happened, that now when the conversation between the father and the daughter is over, she actually goes to the, close by the door, and she actually holds the hand of the stranger and takes him to the table. She asks him to sit down and start having food. And the stranger also, he just sat on the chair and he's just enjoying food, he's just eating, and he did not even say anything. Rather, he was just thinking, while he was eating, he was just looking at the daughter, at the young girl again and again. And he was just thinking that why has she done this thing? Why is she, even kind of came up with this idea with her father? Why did she, did not agree to what her father was saying? And what was her plan? Why did she say this? What thought or what idea came to her mind? After that, Christmas Eve at Ramsjo passed just as it always had. The stranger did not cause any trouble because he did nothing but sleep. The whole forenoon he lay on the sofa in one of the guest rooms and slept at one stretch. At noon they woke him up so that he could have his share of the good Christmas fare, but after that he slept again. It seemed as though for many years he had not been able to sleep as quietly and safely as here at Ramsjo. So now, after he had his food, he just slept on the sofa in one of the guest rooms. In fact, it was in the afternoon that they have to actually wake him up for again having the lunch. So again he woke up, he had lunch, and again he slept. So it was probably the first time that he was sleeping so peacefully, without any tension, without any fear of getting caught. And he just lay there at the sofa sleeping all, in his glory. He was sleeping in his glory. In the evening, when the Christmas tree was lighted, they woke him up again, and he stood for a while in the drawing room, blinking as though the candlelight hurt him. But after that, he disappeared again. 2 hours later, he was aroused once more. He then had to go down into the dining room and eat the Christmas fish and porridge. So now this thing is happening again and again. He was feeling so peaceful, and he just wanted to sleep, because he was sure that no one is going to come or say something to him, or no one is going to come and catch hold of him. So he was just sleeping the entire day. This time also, after the afternoon lunch, he slept, and he was again asked to wake up at the time of evening when they had actually lit the Christmas light. So then also he woke up, but eventually he disappeared again. Disappeared is that he went back to sleep again. And then later at night, when everyone was ready to have the Christmas dinner, that is the fish and the porridge, he was asked to come out to the drawing room, to the dining room, to have dinner. As soon as they got up from the table, he went around to each one present and said thank you and good night. But when he came to the young girl, she gave him to understand that it was her father's intention that the suit which he wore was to be a Christmas present. He did not have to return it, and if he wanted to spend next Christmas Eve in a place where he could rest in peace and be sure that no evil would befall him, he would be welcomed back again. So now, after the Christmas dinner was over, the stranger actually went up to each and every person who was present there, and he was just thanking them, and he was just saying good night. But the moment he came to the daughter, the iron master's daughter, so he just thanked her. But instead the daughter said that instead of thanking me, you should thank my father. The Christmas suit that you're wearing today for Christmas, is actually my father's present, Christmas present for you. So whenever you want to have such a peaceful day, or such a peaceful sleep, you're almost welcomed here. But don't think that any evil or any person would come and try to trap you or try to catch hold of you. The man with the rat traps did not answer anything to this. He only stared at the young girl in boundless amazement. So when the young girl, the daughter of the iron master, said all these things to the rat trap, so he did not say anything. He was just looking at her with utmost, limitless, amazement. Boundless is limitless. The next morning, the iron master and his daughter got up in good season to go to the early Christmas service. Their guest was still asleep, and they did not disturb him. When at about 10 o'clock they drove back from the church, the young girl sat and hung her head even more dejectedly than usual. At church she had learnt that one of the old crofters of the ironworks had been robbed by a man who went around selling rat traps. Yes, "That was a fine fellow you let into the house," said her father. "I only wonder how many silver spoons are left in the cupboard by this time." So now what happened? In the Christmas, after the Christmas night was over, they all went to sleep. But next day, early in the morning, the iron master and his daughter woke up because they had to go to the church. So, the stranger, that is the man with the rat traps, he was still sleeping. And they thought that, let him sleep, let's not disturb him. So the iron master along with his daughter went to the church. And, here, what happened at the church? The daughter, the iron master, came to know that there is one man, one stranger who is actually a person who sells rat traps, has actually stolen money from one of the old crofters of the ironworks. And that is when they both realized that it was the same man. The person who actually stolen that money was none other than the stranger who was sleeping at their house. So that's why, the girl, the young daughter of the iron master, she felt very sad at this. And looking at her, the father said that, yes, now you do understand that this is the same fine man who we allowed to enter and stay the night at our place. He is the same thief. And then he kept saying that, he had stolen money from the crofter. So now let us get back home. I only wonder, and I can only think that how many silver spoons would have been left. So he was thinking that probably his silver spoons would also be stolen by the rat trap by now, and he would be not there at their house when they reach. The wagon had hardly stopped at the front steps when the iron master asked the valet whether the stranger was still there. He added that he had heard at church that the man was a thief. The valet answered that the fellow had gone and that he had not taken anything with him at all. On the contrary, he had left behind a little package which Miss Williamson was to be kind enough to accept as a Christmas present. So now, the moment they reached home, the father, the iron master, he actually asked his valet that, please tell me that is that stranger still at home or has he left? Because we just got to know at church that he is a thief. So to this, the valet replied that no, he has left, but he hasn't taken anything with him. Instead, he has gifted a thing, or instead he has left a present for his daughter as a Christmas gift, as a Christmas present. And what was this present? Let's see. The young girl opened the package, which was so badly done up that the contents came into view at once. She gave a little cry of joy. She found a small rat trap, and in it lay 3 wrinkled 10-kroner notes. But that was not all. In the rat trap lay also a letter written in large jagged characters. So when the daughter actually opened the package, she found that, there was a rat trap and there were those 3 wrinkled 10-kroner notes, which means the money that he had stolen from the crofter's place, he had actually kept it as a present for the iron master's daughter. He's actually returned that. And now, more than that, there was also a letter that he had written, but the letter was written in very big letters, large letters, and it was in a very jagged manner. Jagged means in a very haphazard or confused manner. So what was there in the letter? Honored and noble Miss, since you have been so nice to me all day long, as if I was a captain, I want to be nice to you in return, as if I was a real captain. For I do not want you to be embarrassed at this Christmas season by a thief, but you can give back the money to the old man on the roadside who has the money pouch hanging on the window frame as a bait for the poor wanderers. So the letter starts with that he's saying all good things about the iron master and his daughter, and he's saying that, I don't want you all to feel embarrassed or sad at the fact that you actually gave so much peace, you gave that homely treatment and that love to me on the day of Christmas. And I don't want to embarrass you thinking that you have actually given shelter to a thief. Therefore, I am returning these 30 kronors, and it belongs to an old man. And he's just describing his address, that he stays down the roadside and he's hanging a pouch in the window. So you please return this money from him because I have stolen that money. So he's also specifying the reason there. The rat trap is a Christmas present from a rat who would have been caught in this world's rat trap if he had not been raised to captain, because in that way he got power to clear himself. So now he's saying that, the rat trap that I'm gifting you is a present because, this rat trap would really have been a trap for me had you not treated me as a captain. Because once you treated me as a captain, I felt I had the power to clear myself, to not get trapped into all this. Written with friendship and high regard, Captain Wand's tale. So now he's signing off saying that, I'm writing this all with friendship, with love, and, with so much respect and regard for you both. And then he signs off as Captain Wand's tale. So on this note, the story comes to an end. So what happened? A person who is a rat trap seller, he steals the money. How he gets trapped into it, a person misunderstands him to be a captain. Later on, it is discovered, it is found out that yes, he is a thief, he is a stranger, he is not the captain. And still, how the goodness in him, the goodness in the man actually comes to the forefront. Remember when we were talking about the author, we said that one central thing to all our stories is that how, different things in life actually bring out the positivity and goodness in the human being. And that's exactly what is shown in this story. That how one good deed has actually brought the goodness or the positive side of this man to the forefront.